So, guys, we talked a little while ago about maturing and figuring out you need to have something more reliable, and not everything need to be, a bucket or a hot rod. There's a place in your life for a good, reliable vehicle. I finally figured that out, and well, we're going to talk about what I bought and how it all worked out on this week's Monday Morning Memory from Pugliese Speed Shop. So we're gonna cruise on over here to my book this week and see what we got in store to talk about. Let's see if can I flip right to it. No, I cannot. There's a 5-liter though. Miss that guy. Well, there's the orange truck, which has a little bit to do with this week's story because this is when it was all done and a daily driver, but not for very long because we got this guy. This is like the day I brought it home. That there is my 1997 Dodge Dakota. There's my neighbor Nick. That's the guy who, zoom in on him a little bit there. We shared that Hennessy when I traded the Mustang in. He saw I had enough something else. He came by to check her out. Good dude, man. I miss that guy. And that's one of my favorite pictures of it. They're in the woods at Chip's house because, this is how that was. I liked it enough. We blew her up. Let's take another. We got a little. That guy. Good look. That's when I had her all done. We had a little bit of lift going there, and you put all the plastic stuff on it back in the day. And I think I had 32s on it. There she is right there. Well, we got a little. Yeah. I was living in North Carolina, and I could see the mud on her. She was doing things. We're going to talk about some of those things. Guys, so I distinctly remember the whole thought process when I got this truck. So I had the orange truck. That was my daily driver. And I had the 5-liter. Megan had the Camry. And I had the bike. And then mentioned a couple weeks ago, we traded in the Camry and the Mustang, got her that Bravada. And then we decided that I should probably have something reliable as well, seeing as how it did have a new motor in that Dodge little Ram 50. But we were having some issues, little growing pains, if you will. And I was driving 90 miles one way to work. And Greg and I weren't doing the carpool thing as much. He had an F-150 at this point, and he stayed up there quite a bit. And we had barracks rooms, part of kind of a perk of being in the military. So if we didn't want to make the trek home, we could just crash at the barracks. And I did that from time to time. But the orange truck wasn't, I thought it was going to be this huge gas saver, and it probably would have been had I not put it on like 31-inch mud tires. And it's the high desert. There's some pretty good sized hills that it didn't like going up, and it was a whole gas with gas. Initially went nuts, and I know it's been up and down since then, but I don't know. So I was thinking of something to buy, and I kind of wanted something with air conditioning because I lived in a desert. It was a little hot, all these things. And after I finished the orange truck, I said to myself, and I remember me and my buddy Justin talking the first time I drove it to work. He's like, man, I can't believe you drove like your giant model. You're going to drive 200 miles today. I was like, yeah, it's kind of crazy. But I said, the next thing I build is going to be something, right? And so I'm kind of thinking I'll sell that and buy another project. I wasn't really sure, right? I liked it, but a lot of times you like it, but you don't love it. Now I think about it as more nostalgic than anything. But so we're sitting there in the airframe shop, and there's an auto trader. Cell phones were not a thing. I mean, yeah, we had cell phones, but you couldn't get online and do stuff. So at least on anyone I ever saw in 2000, 2001, 2002, whatever it was. So I'm looking at the auto trader, and I came across like a 99 S10 ZR2. I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I'm looking at that, and I was like, and you know how you guys are looking. You're looking at buying anything. This is what I'm gonna pay. Well, this one's only a little bit more. Well, this one's a little bit. Next thing you know, you double the price, and that's exactly what happened. I was like, man, I want to spend under $5,000. Well, I'm looking at that ZR2 and it's 10. I was like, well, I could probably swing 10. And then I was talking to some guys in the shop and everything. And they're like, we're going to spend 10 grand. Why don't you buy something that's got a V8 that you could tow something with? I said, well, I don't tow anything. Like, when you're talking about buying a project, and I was like, oh, yeah, you're making a lot of sense. But I don't know why. Like, what led me, I like the style of the Dakota. 97, they redid it. 96 was all boxy. Greg actually had a 96, and it was a nice truck. But I was like, I don't want a big truck. So the Dakota was a mid-size, right? So it was kind of perfect. And I started looking through the Auto Trader, and there it is. It's 97, like I said, the club cab. So, you had the back seat. Now, the big thing about that one, which I really liked, is the S10 had like the jump seats that would fold down from the sides. This had a regular bench seat in the back. And I was like, well, that's Andrew's baby, so car seat fits back there. Cool. And I somehow thought I could have saved gas money, which they're not known for that. But so of course I bought the 4-wheel drive V8. So it had a 318 in it, had like a 3-inch exhaust. It was on 31s. I think it was a sport model. That's why it had like the wider wheels, and it had the fender flares. It had a bed liner in it. That's probably about all it really came with. It wasn't. That was actually, no, I take that back. It had power windows, power door locks, tilt cruise, tape and CD combo thing, the little equalizer that Dodge had, all the stuff of the times, right? And I was like, man, this is a really nice truck. It had 105,000 miles on it. So it's okay, cool. Let's go check it out. We go down there, we check it out. I love it. I put a deposit on it. I talked to my bank. Boom, boom, boom. We go down and get the car. Well, truck. I'm driving the thing home. I'm coming through the home pass. Needle starts starting a little hot. I said, oh man, really? Now I'm probably half hour, 45 minutes into the drive. But the home pass is a pretty big summit. So, okay, then it comes right back down. I was like, okay, we're good. Maybe it's a little low on fluid or something like that. I get home, everything's fine. I look at the fluid, everything's topped off, and I was like, that's weird. Well, I don't know. I'll flush it. Maybe it hasn't been done, whatever. So the next morning, I'm going to work. Jump in the truck. I go to get gas. I come out of the gas station. Bing, this thing pegs. I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. So luckily I saw the orange truck. I go back to the house, get the orange truck, and I drive up, and Megan was like, kind of, I get home because we didn't text throughout the day then. That wasn't a thing. So I get home from work. She said, why'd you take the truck? Told her what happened. And all it was, guys, was the thermostat. I changed the thermostat out. The fluid looked fine. Everything was good. Boom, we're driving it. It's reliable as could be. Driving it for a little while. Probably 6 months or so. And I sell the orange truck, which I think I mentioned in the video for the orange truck, but it's pretty sweet. I sold it to a guy who made payments for a couple months and then popped on a drug test and got kicked out of the Navy and disappeared. Of course, I still had the title, so I sold it again. That was pretty lucrative. But so the truck didn't really need anything. I remember the interior had a wood grain dash. It wasn't stock. Somebody put on that, but it wasn't like tacky. They did a good job with it. Had bucket seats. It was automatic on the column, but had nice, full console. Guys, it was comfortable. It was nice. I dug it. I was a little smaller back then, but it was super comfortable. And I thought, because it's got a V8 and I can do whatever. I can tow things, do whatever. Which is somewhat true. So Greg had that F-150. We went to pick up. What did we pick up first? I started towing with this thing a lot. I think he had a 51 Chrysler Windsor. We took my truck to pick it up. That's what I learned about trailer brakes. I didn't have a controller on it. And that was not, that was a bad day for America. Okay, that's what that was. But then we picked up a couple cars I had bought, and I put a brake controller on it. And with Brandon's trailer he had a big Tex, like a 20-foot trailer. Pull it, no problem. In fact, we went to Viva Las Vegas, and Justin drove my truck. His car was not, things were going on. We'll talk about that in a later video. But he followed with that, which we ended up needing it. So we ended up taking the girls to Vegas, coming back to China Lake with that thing, and then loading the trailer and going and getting it. It was a whole thing. But driving home from Las Vegas, it was Easter weekend. That I think they still do it that weekend every year. And we're coming down into like Barstow area, and traffic stopped. And I'm in my 53 Caddy. I stop. I look over and I see Brandon in the grass. That's before we put the trailer brakes on it, and they just got hot. The one thing I remember about the Dakota is the brakes were not great, and man, I was forever putting pads on that thing, because then I did a bunch of work to it. Nothing. I mean, like not tune up, oil changes. I did a bunch. The front end was worn out. Put new front end, ball joints, all that stuff in it. I ended up cranking on the torsion bars a little bit just to lift it up so that I could put the 32 inch. Because I had 31s and they had BFGs, which they sucked. The All-Terrains, that was a hard tire. So I went with the Bridgestone Dueler ATs. I remember it was, right? And with 32s, because I wanted a little bigger, and that's a little crank on her. And I bought a trailer. Bought my first trailer. It was kind of funny too, because we were transferring cross country, and I had to pull the Pontiac out to North Carolina. So Megan drove the Bravado, like I mentioned in the video about that, and I drove the Dakota. Me and Rocky, the dog we had at the time, she was awesome. So it was me and her in the truck, and I had a Pontiac behind me. But we went to buy the trailer, and it's like $1,500. This place in San Bernardino, they had all over the green sheet, to come get this. So they bring a black trailer over. And I was like, nah, dude, I don't want a white one. So they had them stacked, right? And he's like, for real, dude, I got to move like 6 black ones. I was like, well, I looked at my truck. I was like, well, yeah, I want to match. He's like, so he did. He was not happy, but he did. Now, hindsight, a black trailer looks a little better, a little longer. So if you're in the trailer market, think about that. But then I put the trailer on it. I did the trailer brakes. Everything worked great. Actually, the trailer was jacked up. Brandon had to rewire the trailer for me at Justin's house like 3 days before I left. But we got all that set, and I put the trailer on it, and the thing just went. So Chip had a set of air shocks that he was going to put in his rodeo, and he's left there at Manland, which is where they all lived. It's a warehouse that they had all their stuff at, and which was just super cool. But I threw those things on there, and I put it and put a whole bunch of pressure in it, and man, that thing towed like a dream. So you see now, it's the same concept nowadays. People put airbags in the back and whatever. So it worked out great. Cross country, we get to Memphis, Tennessee. We're going to go to Graceland because why not? But we'll go to find a hotel that'll take pets. We pulled this one hotel. They said, no, I come out, I smell gas. I'm like, huh. Go next hotel. Come out, and I was like, I smell gas again. It's probably me. Let me see what's up. So there's a fuel line that came down the frame and turned. And right where that turn was, it was rubbing on the frame. And it rubbed right through that corner. And it was just... Psh, psh, psh. So I remember we left it there. I was okay, well, we got in Megan's car and we went and did all our stuff. And I said, we'll fix it tomorrow before we take off. Don't ever do that. That was a terrible idea. So we get up in the morning. It is raining cats and dogs. It's, crazy. So I'm like, okay, well. So Megan, we drive to AutoZone. I get a little tiny, I still got it, I keep it in my bag, a little tiny pipe cutter so I could fit it in, because there wasn't a lot of room, so I could pull it out and just get this little, no kid guys, it's this big. And cut through that pipe, and I put a piece of hose on it, hose clamp, let's get after it. And I said, well, when we get to North Carolina, I'll put a new line in it. That never happened. Wherever that truck is now, it probably still has that piece of hose with 2 hose clamps. Worked fine. Why worry about it? It was raining so bad. I remember Megan trying to help, right? And she's holding I'm under the truck, and I'm on a hill, and water is just rushing on me. Anyways, I was soaked. We already checked out of the hotel room because that was a solid plan too. But she's holding the umbrella. I was like, babe, just get in the car. You're good. But she was trying her damnedest. Made the rest of the way, and no problems at all until I got to North Carolina. And we had a Chip's house, and I didn't realize how soft all the dirt was out there. I've been in the desert for who knows how long. I go to make a U-turn, sink down. I had to put in 4-wheel drive. I think that's why the pictures got muddled over there, because I got stuck right out, just across the street from his house. Sling mud, got the thing out of there. Everything was fine. But then I drove it for, God, I traded that thing in. It had 213,000 miles on it. So I put over 100,000 miles on that truck in 4 years. Yeah, I think about 4. Guys, I'd probably still have it because it was so. Everything was just. It was. I did everything well. Like, I had a 1-car trailer. Pulled it no problem. It actually didn't get terrible gas mileage. I was on the back roads all the time going to work, and I was gas brake, and the brakes were terrible. They were probably, I'm doing half-ton stuff with a quarter-ton truck, and it's probably quarter-ton brakes. So I did put a lot of pads on them, but I bought the ones that were guaranteed for life, and I just flip them out because I was getting maybe 20,000 miles out of the pads. I did buy the cheapest ones at like AutoZone or whatever, it's Advance, wherever I went. So that might have had something to do with it. But yeah, we drove that thing. My dad borrowed it. My dad and my brother came down. My dad bought a 60 T-Bird, and somehow this was my fault. The car came off the trailer. Like he hit the brakes or something. I think the trailer came off the off the truck, and they fixed that. And then like they hit the brakes, and the freaking thing, the nose off the front. I said, oh, luckily it didn't hit the truck. It hit the crank, for the jack, and that thing was for the rest. I never replaced it, but going up and down, it was like because it got jacked up a little bit. And I was on deployment, so I don't know how that was my fault, but somehow it was. My brother tells a story. A guy came by to help out and said, hey, man, I'll pull it back. I'll pull the car on. And my truck with the trailer on it, this guy's pulling this way, we're pulling it. And apparently my dad was pulling that Silverado. So I'm a Chevy guy, but there's something to say. That truck was a beast, man. It was great off-road. We took it to Connecticut when I bought my dad that 35 Pontiac. I mean, we put this 51 Dodge on it somewhere down in South Carolina, I think. So it was all over, guys. This thing, cross country. Like I said, I traded in 213,000 miles. Still had that little that little piece of hose on there to fix it, but God, everything worked great. Now, right before I traded in, it started having some. The exhaust was leaking a little bit, so I welded a new exhaust up on it. That was fine. And it was. This is where I screwed up, and I'll never do this again. I remember working on it. I was over at Brandon's house, and it's like, oh, I got to put this exhaust on it. And so I did over there because I know a welder. He did. So we put the exhaust on it, and underneath it, my buddy Casey's like, hey man, you got a lot of miles on this. You should probably swap out the trans fluid and adjust the bands. Because it had some transmission anomalies, I guess. If I was on it, I used to pass a lot of people. I also got 2 reckless drivings in this truck, I think, so it would get it. But it wouldn't want to shift. I had to lift off a little bit, and sometimes I'd nail it and bang down 2 gears and then bang off the rev limiter. So it's like, he's like, I said, you should do all this. And I was like, okay. I told you I had 200,000 miles on it. It's probably never been done. I never did it 100,000, so there's that. And judging by how it was maintained, I mean, it wasn't in bad shape, but yeah. So I did that, and it ran awesome, better than I ever. I drove up to my dad's place. We went to PA, and he sold his red vet, and I was going to help him get it running right so he could sell it. I drove up there, and it was doing great until I hit some traffic, and then actually it was shifting like a brand new truck. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Well, in traffic, it started banging like second gear, boom, throw you back, and I'm like, that's a problem. So we get there, and we fixed the vet, and actually me and my brother, we drove back down to my house, and it was awful. Like, it made it there, but it was not good. I did it again, thinking I'd screwed it up, and it did the same thing. It was good for about 100, 150 miles, and then it was bad. And the trans was doing not well. So, Megan didn't have a vehicle at this time, actually, and that's another story. But I was about to go on deployment. I had a truck that she was going to just keep driving that because we love that thing. But now we're having transmission problems, a lot of miles on it. It's not a good idea. So we're like, okay, let's get something else. Across the street from Brandon's house was a dealership, and they had a truck there that Megan loved. And it was a really good looking truck, guys. And I said, you know what? Cool, we'll get that. And we traded the Dakota in. It was paid for, so like this is gonna, we'll be all set. And I adjusted the bands again, so it was shifting good. I know it's a little dirty, but the guy's looking at a truck with 200,000 miles on it. He had to figure, especially a Dodge. He had to be figuring. And it was a good deal. No, I didn't make out like a bandit, neither did he, but we traded the truck in. I saw it at the mall. It was a very small mall in that town. It was a badass Chinese buffet we used to go to all the time. We were going there, and I saw the Dakota one last time, and man, I wish I never did. Because it was a good-looking truck. It was super clean. Everything was nice on it. Whoever bought it, it was just a work truck for them, and they didn't give a shite about this thing. It was beat, man. The exhaust we put on it was like all, I think I was hanging off. The interior was just beat. One of the mirrors was hanging. I was like, holy shit, what did you do, man? It's just one of those things, guys. Sometimes you don't want to see it again. Because now I got that memory in that parking lot. And as much as I love that Chinese buffet, I didn't really enjoy it that night. I was a little heartbroken. But guys, it was an awesome truck. I would definitely buy that thing over again. The only thing I changed about that entire story is I probably wouldn't have adjusted the transmission band. So think about that. If you got an older vehicle and you want to do some work like that, especially transmission, if it's never been done, leave it alone until it breaks, guys, because all you're going to do is break it sooner. So, well, that's all that's like the whole lifetime of my time with that Dodge Dakota. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I don't know what we're going to talk about next week because I mentioned a lot of cars that, you said tune in next week to find out. Thanks for watching, guys.